Okay, cool. Well, if I had to get, like, if there's one stereotype that I think actually exists for computer science majors, is probably the kind of geeky, nerdy programmer type that just sits in their room with, like, the lights off and just programs all day. Which, although it does exist for some people, for the most part, it's pretty much non-existent. People who are programmers aren't necessarily nerdy, or they're not necessarily really geeky or anything like that. They're just people who, I would say for the most part, just enjoy solving problems. I mean, for myself, I prefer to be at home. I'm a homebody, so I like to be at home. But other people, I mean, I know people who program as well, like quite often, but they get out all the time. Whereas it's more or less just a personality difference. Like, you can be an extrovert or an introvert and still be a programmer. I mean, if there's, at least when you're starting out, for the most part, you're just taking the intro courses. So the Computer Science 1, Computer Science 2, and then data structures. At least what I would recommend for most people in computer science is to take data structures as fast as possible so that you can get on to the more challenging courses. Because you'll find out what you like when you take networking, machine learning, or computer architecture. When you take those classes, you'll find out what you like so you can focus more on that. I would say for after graduation, when it comes to being a computer science major, you have a lot of different paths open to you. A lot of people decide to go into industry, and then a lot of people decide to go perhaps pursue a master's degree. And at least for, say, if you keep going in academia, typically when you choose a master's degree or a PhD program, whichever sub-discipline of computer science that you most enjoyed, that's usually what you'll focus in. So if you really like networking, you could go for a master's in CS, but with a focus in networking. But then when it comes to like going into industry, I mean, there's so many different options that you have. I mean, a lot of people decide to become like a web developer, which has, you know, the back end, the front end work, networks engineer. A lot of people these days go into machine learning, artificial intelligence, stuff with neural networks. So I mean, there's quite a bit of different things you can do. So basically, whichever class that you really enjoyed in high school, or not in high school, but in college, typically most people will follow that path when they go into their careers. At least for myself, I didn't have much programming experience going into college, although I had programmed in Java a bit. I wouldn't say that I was any good at it. Most of my experience prior to being in a computer science program was mostly mathematics, like Calculus 1. But I would say for most people, I don't think you really need much experience in programming or in math to be a good programmer or to succeed in a computer science program. Like, when I first started out, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I'd spend 10 hours on one line of code just because I did not understand what was going on. But after you make those mistakes and you learn from the mistakes, it gets much easier once you get to your senior level. Like, now it's like you ask me to do something, okay, I can immediately think of a solution to the problem. Because that's really all that it is. Programming just in general, it's not necessarily about programming itself, but it's about learning how to solve problems and learning how to think. So if there's one thing that you could do before coming, programming, doing a little bit of programming, maybe watching some tutorials on the internet wouldn't be a bad idea, but just generally thinking, okay, if you see a problem in everyday life, think about how could you solve that problem.